Hi, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia, and this is Stevie. In case you haven't seen any of my videos before, I bring him in sometimes, although he's a pistol and a firecracker, and he can wreak a lot of havoc in here in this little living space that I live in. But I wanted to kind of just honor him, as I like to do sometimes on here, because I don't live alone, and the part of the reason the energy behind this layout this morning for me was I woke up in just really heart-crippling loneliness, like deep kind of soul level sorrow. Like I'm going through a lot personally, but that's neither here nor there. It seemed important, and I kept thinking, like, what should I do with this energy? I prayed because I'm tired of feeling lonely. I'm an extreme introvert, but these days I'm spending literally like 90% of my time alone, which is a little much, even for an introvert. The earth, or the ground I walk on, has really been shifting under me in the last several months in ways that I wanted, but that is really difficult. The loneliness that I feel has really come and gone with a lot of focus that I've really had to try to work with and figure out and try to accept as part of my soul's growth. But when I woke up with it this morning, it was again just like, hello, darkness, my old friend. It was a lot, I'm just like, man, come on. Can I just break into the joy that I know is coming for me? It's been a lot of years since I've had just a pure stretch of joy in my life where things feel that kind of soul level joy for myself in my own life. And I didn't mean to go so deeply into my own experience, but the reason that I felt like I should share it is because when I woke up, I think the message is that I should do this layout for you, to reach across the void to you, in ways that I find comforting when someone reaches across the void to me from a place of understanding, and even kind of sharing in the sorrowful aspects of life a little bit. Not that you want to get mired down, but at least where I live, positivity culture feels like it's taken over everything. And while it's one thing to be positive, I think if you want the kind of levels of joy that maybe we're aspiring to, you have to go through this. You have to go through dark nights of the soul. And I've had my share in my life. Lots of dark nights of the soul. Lots of experiences of trusting people that I've had this kind of shock awakening that I can't trust them. And not only can I not trust them, but they hate me secretly, or, things like that are intense to absorb, or that whatever they're going through is being projected onto me when really it doesn't have anything to do with me. But yet, because I'm really sensitive, I feel it all. Like, I feel when someone's annoyed with me. I feel when and it's like people are free to have their own human experiences and be annoyed with me, but it just gets annoying or fatiguing to feel everyone else's experience. So, and I'm good at it. I've had lots of time to practice and heal and face my maker and face my shadow and face the loneliness. That said, though, it gets tiring. I'm tired of that experience in some ways. And I was reading cards on it this morning. And before I even read cards on it, it was the Four of Cups, which, if you know tarot, the Four of Cups can represent like a feeling of ingratitude. It can also mean like not the right time for something to come to you or whatever. But for me, it was sort of like I felt like I was being cautioned, like, don't forget to look right around you and see where you can connect with my bird, with my cat, with nature outside, right? With the sun, with the memory of my loved ones who've passed on. So those are things that have bounty and that I'm rich. They sometimes help, and sometimes it emphasizes the loneliness for my human team, I guess, or my tribe or whatever. I'm tired of the loneliness, and I sense that the reason I was supposed to do this reading is because you might have woken up in this energy, And a reading like this might help to just feel seen across the void, that you're not alone, that there are a lot of souls walking this planet that are going through similar. And if we reach out across the void, at times it's comforting, even if it's in reaching out to an author that's gone before, like Camus kind of came to mind a lot recently, who really captures these kinds of experiences, along with the absurdity of it all, right? Just when you start taking yourself too seriously. I remember one time I was walking my dog. This was a long time ago now, but I was in that depth of sorrow that just feels like insurmountable at times, and talking to God in my mind and just shaking my fist mentally, like, why do I keep having to have all these sorrowful experiences? And right as I was kind of at the peak of those feelings, this little branch like somehow caught my hat and pulled it off my head, and it was sort of like, just lighten up, don't just, it's okay, it's all a game, or it's all a school, or it's all for your good, or I don't know if that's really going to capture it, but it can help to lighten the mood, right? Like, not everything is so life and death serious. Even when you feel this soul-crushing loneliness, anything can come along at any moment and make you laugh. So maybe that story will help, or just this reading and being seen, like you're not alone. We're walking on this path together, and may we find our way into that breaking into the joy. Another image came through that's been coming through, which is sitting on your throne. And I live in this little space, and I've had to really try to make videos work as best as I can in a little space where I have to do lots of other things in the space besides readings. It's not like a separate room I have just for readings. And I had to make my throne out of a lot of kind of just stuff that's random and weird, but I use a little pillow that were my grandparents, and it makes me feel connected to my lineage to have that be a part of my throne. So just little things like that I can do, and that maybe you can do to help remind you in a time like this. Sometimes it's cold comfort. I love animals, and I always had a real kinship with animals. I grew up alone as a solitary kid in nature. So a lot of my relationships growing up was with animals, and I very much love that and feel honored by that. But there's also times that's cold comfort, when you crave a human companion, right? When you crave your human, and it's not even just, sometimes connecting with humans at a distance, while it feels good, it still can feel like cold comfort. Like when you want touch, when you want grounding, when you want a sense of like, I belong here, I belong with you, you belong with me, we belong together as a group, we're doing things together. And I know that's coming for me, just like I know it's coming for you, but sometimes that is like, well, yeah, but when? Like, fucking A. I'm tired. I've been grieving and processing grief and loss and shadow work and stuff really in my life going on like 14 years, almost 15 years. And it's not like none of that has been good. I've had great experiences and met great people during that time, but the prevailing feeling has been dark night of the soul. I've had several in this last 15 years, and I had my share as a kid. So the reason I'm saying all this is not to sound woe as me, but to see you, because I feel like this reading is for people who feel similarly. Like, when does the shadow work break out into the light? When do I start to feel a sense of community again, right? So with that said, I just wanted to do this layout with those themes in mind. And I also brought this Endgame deck, which is a therapist tool, and I'm going to actually use it to start the theme here, because loneliness is fine as a theme, but I'm kind of feeling like I want to add another layer to it through this end deck, or Endgame. We'll see what comes out here. These are like therapeutic questions. They work great when you're trying to connect with a group of people and build camaraderie and kinship with them, and a sense of trust and depth of understanding one another. So this could just be a meditative question for you that doesn't dictate the theme of the reading, but that might be helpful to you to keep in mind or journal about or something. I used to love to journal, but I have dyslexia, and I've found over the years that my dyslexia has kind of gotten worse. So even though some of my other mental faculties have strengthened, like my intuitive work and my third eye work, like sometimes the written word for me is frustrating because it gets so layered with dyslexic errors if I just free write without worrying about it, and then I have to go back and correct it, and people often mistake that for being, you know, stupid. I know it's most people around me don't think I'm stupid, but still I have a little bit of a preoccupation with it. So maybe if you don't like to write, maybe it's voice memos that you keep for yourself, right, on your phone. So what might be a good meditative question for this layout for us in this lonely feeling? If you could cure any disease, what would it be and why? So that's powerful, right? That's a powerful question. If you could cure any disease, what would it be and why? Maybe that has something to do with your life purpose. You might be a healer working in the Western tradition, working with disease and illness and helping people feel restored to health. The answer that came for me as I asked that out loud was loneliness, God damn it. We're talking about loneliness, like, right? Like if I could cure anything in me right now, it would be the feeling of loneliness. And this reading is already doing that. I can feel that it was the right guidance for me to do a reading just because it helps me feel less lonely, even if that's the only thing that comes out of it, right? But you might be something, you know, there might have more resonance for you in another area of disease or illness. What's a good message that can come through for us across the void? Yeah, wow. Right at the heart, there's already a lot of intense energy. I feel it. I feel the sorrow here and the feeling of frustration. So at the very heart of things, at the very heart of things is the Seven of Swords crossed by the Devil. So something about your current experience is reflecting the theme that we're talking about. Maybe a theft of your peace of mind, a theft of your peace. You may feel that at every pivot that you try to make to either transmute or move past or heal the circumstance that you find yourself in, this devil energy crossing it is pressing you and testing you and making it seem impossible or insurmountable. And what I love in this deck is that this devil image is super beautiful. I think it's this hare with a skull as a head. And one thing that I feel like tarot gets away of and that I love about the Crowley deck is that the devil card often gets really maligned as like these devils in your life or somebody's doing black magic against you, and like that certainly can be the case. I'm not knocking that. But there can be some real beauty in the devil card, especially when you transmute your own inner devil. What I'm sensing here is that it feels like these devils that you're facing within yourself, like this loneliness and the sorrow and maybe the Four of Cups energy, is robbing you or stealing from you in some way. There's also this incredibly piercing gaze of the Seven of Swords panther here, which is really beautiful. So this theft could also be actually a gift in a way. Like this devil energy that's coming through, what this is clearing away for you, what's happening with this energy is that it's at like peak difficulty, like peak frustration, trapped, bound, at the mercy of your shadow, right? And what this is saying is that this is actually going to be what gives you your prize ultimately, that you are going to transcend this by doing this. It's a very positive take on these two cards coming up together, where a lot of readers, and even me in a certain layout, might say, boy, something is really working against you, or you have someone around you who wants what you have, or, you know, it could be very brass tacks like that, but that's not what's coming through here. What's coming through here is that you are doing this work and meeting your shadow with respect. And because of that, you're going to be stepping into something beautiful that other people may not even believe, or that other people may never have the courage to do like you do, for example. And one thing that I love too is there's these big cats painted on a wall behind this panther, and it reminds me a lot of Teotihuacan in Mexico. There's a lot of jaguar, I believe, imagery in certain royal rooms of that site, which are very beautiful, really beautiful images, and that's what it's making me think of. So that place might have resonance for you. It definitely does for me, which is why it came through. But you may be someone who's visited Teotihuacan, or feels like you have ancestors that whose echo from that place to you, or any, you know, it could be any kind of cave painting, right? Like you might feel like a really old soul. One thing that came through for me that was really beautiful is that I've always been drawn to, I'm a visual artist, and my favorite era, if you can call it that, because it lumps in an insane amount of time in the visual art world of recognized what is art, is prehistoric to medieval. That's my favorite time. And I was going through my aunt's things that I inherited and feel very honored to have inherited. And she has lots of photos. She was a wildlife painter, and she has lots of photographs of cave paintings. And I saw in a lot of her work, when I was going through some of her work at their estate, was that those images were replicated in her abstract work. And I've done that as well in my own work, completely independently from her. So these meanings, these things mean something to you. This is maybe something that you're no stranger to, is facing, I'm just seeing all of a sudden again, like being in a cave around a fire, and the way that the light casts a lot of shadows in the cave and creates a sense of void and illusion and shadow, and all, you know, it's really coming through in a powerful way. Like you're walking through the void, and it may feel like a familiar journey that you're like, again, like I'm here again, but you are here again. In the scene world is the Queen of Wands, which is a stark contrast to this kind of work. But it's, what I'm sensing is that it's connecting you to your fire element. When I just said that, fire in a cave, it's like here's this raven holding up this queen's wand here. And so there's light coming through the void for you. Even if you didn't feel it this morning, just like me, like when I woke up, I really had to find my way back to that understanding, because I just felt like, no, I cannot face another day of this void loneliness, like this absence. Presence of absence is a card from another deck. Like I'm so conscious of the absence that it's really takes everything I have to pull out of it. And I sense that that's what's happening for you. But it is happening for you. This is a confirmation of that. With this raven holding this wand to you, you have access to it. Fire, like candles, can help with something like that in a void. A candle can be a really friendly companion when you're walking through the void, right? What's in the unseen world is a gathering or a harmonization with others. It's this Three of Wands. And so you are finding your way to the people who are going to help alleviate the loneliness. And this is something that I'm sensing you're really craving hearing right now. because to wake up in a feeling like that might feel like it's just been going on and on and on, and like I can't keep going, like really discouraged. In the unseen world is the community that you're seeking. It's here for you. It's coming into being. You're not going to be alone in this cave looking at the shadows of the fire by yourself for much longer. It's here. It's already present. It's unseen, though. That might be where some of the struggle is. In the recent past, like maybe this morning when you woke up, is the Two of Swords, that feeling of stillness and it's not time and there's no forward movement. I know when I woke up into that emotion, my heart just plunged. Like I just felt like, God, I can't keep, I really was resisting, like, because I'm so fatigued from it, right? It's not for deciding to do your shadow work and truly heal. Like I was saying a minute ago, like 90% of the time I'm alone facing myself. It's a little much. Like there's times where I'm like, is this even healthy? Should I be doing something to counteract this? Like, do I need to go get on medication or like what? So when you woke up, it felt very much like prevented to move forward. But what's important to remember are these wand cards right here. That this fire is lit in you. You're connecting to the other souls who have the same fire as yours, right? Really comforting to read. In the near future is the Page of Pentacles. And it's an octopus here. And this is what I sense, is that there's some kind of an offering or gesture coming towards you. It could be this. It could be this layout that's like, here, I'm reaching across the void. You're not alone. From like octopus or octopi to me represent like kind of alien consciousness, almost like consciousness beyond our capacity to understand as humans, as like the depths of the ocean in a way. An entity like an octopus to me speaks to incredibly wise, like alien intelligence almost, right? They're amazing creatures. And here comes this offer. Here comes something that's reaching out to you in a way that may feel a little small at first, or not quite how you expected it to show up, but it's showing up nevertheless. And again, it could be something like this reading or a gesture somebody makes to you that you may be vulnerable to not see if you're too in the void sorrow state, right? You can enter the void in an acceptance place, in a place where the void feels soothing, right? Like an obsidian mirror where the void feels healing, like it's clearing away the sorrow, right? Something may come towards you like that, and keep your eyes open for it. It's beautiful. It's like this octopus handing you a pearl. Really amazing image. I love this deck so much. It just working with this deck almost alleviates that sorrowful, lonely feeling. You are in the Ten of Wands energy, which is feeling like you may understand intellectually that this time is going to come to an end, but you're in the very last push and you're exhausted. And this ray of hope can't get here soon enough. This breakthrough into the light really feels even overdue for you, where you're like, I can't keep pushing. I can't keep going. I can't, But like these salmon swimming upstream, it's your mission. You are designed to. It's instinctual for you to keep going. So even if you worry that you're not going to be able to, your soul, your body, your sense memory, your cellular memory, your DNA will keep you going forward. Even when you're sorrowful, that's very comforting to me to even say out loud. And it's coming through this card and the energy of salmon and the ways that salmon understand instinctually what they need to do, and may even understand that I'm on this march towards my own death, but it's my soul's mission, right? Like it's kind of crappy wording to capture that. It's beyond human speech, right? But it's an instinct and it's a drive that's a beautiful drive that is beyond their own personal existence, right? And so that might be partly what's going on, is that you understand that you have a greater purpose here than just looking out for number one, that part of what you're doing is bigger than you, that your journey is bigger than you, that it's about something bigger. And this can also reach to the void. There are other people on this path with you. Even if you're not walking it side by side yet, they are with you. We are together walking this kind of journey that can be like a sojourn, like a difficult journey, right? the energy coming towards you and that's happening all around you is a judgment day. So these flame cards that are coming through here, this 3 of Wands and Queen of Wands, it's catalytic. The layers of change that are happening all around you, like a judgment day. It's really beautiful. The snake is transmuting into something greater, into a higher state of being. And it's doing so by going towards the void, right? By snaking through these challenges. By doing that, it's almost like an echo of the arms of this octopus. Like these patterns are, you're finding your harmony with others that are going to be walking that journey with you, or slithering that journey with you. Although the snake is being shown as transmuting its skin and rising above, right? Like not maybe to stay on the earth anymore, but to rise above it into the stars. Your greatest hopes and fears are that you don't want to be in this illusion anymore, or in this lunar energy. You're really craving the light. You've done your void work. You've done your shadow work. When you're doing trance work, for example, I remember when I first went to my teacher, who I'll just name here. Her name is Corinne Boyer. She's an amazing folk magic and witchcraft teacher who I wanted to go to. I didn't want to just declare I'm a witch and start doing my own stuff. I wanted to seek a teacher, and I found her. And when we first started doing trance work, a lot of what they'll tell you is while you're listening to a drum or a rhythm, in your mind's eye, you move towards a hole and then you drop down into the hole and go into your trance. And I remember at some point in doing my own trance work, after I felt secure enough to do trance work on my own through learning with her, I remember feeling kind of like, I don't want to drop down. What is the other way? Like, I've already explored my shadow. I've already explored the dark. I've already gone, and I got an answer right away, like in my own mind, which is instead of dropping down into the hole, you approach a tree and you start climbing the tree. And that's how you can do trance work into the higher realms. And I'm glad I asked, because I was starting to fatigue from doing all that beneath the surface, watery cave-like work, right? I wanted the light again. And what I'm sensing is that you're almost starting to fear that you're never going to come out of the cave, that it's going to be something that takes you down, or that this is all there is, that this is where your life was meant to lead to and now it's over, like this 10 of Wands salmon migration. That's an anxiety for you, but that's also an illusion. Lunar energy can be very illusory in nature. You may be worried that you're stuck there, or that you're not going to be able to come through. Like, I felt that way temporarily when I woke up this morning. Like, God, maybe it's time for me to consider medication, right? That was where my mind first went. And then I just kind of sat with it and embraced it and recognized, like, you can get grounded. You have your ways that you know about, that you already practice, that you're good at. I sense that you know that too, because you're doing deep, deep work here. This is not work that you've just started. It's work that's been in the depths for a long time. These wand cards are very welcome to you, is what I sense. But this lunar energy of this coyote gazing into the well, which is actually a cityscape trash can, which I love. And you're almost there. It's really important to hear that. That even can feel like cold comfort, I know, because I've heard lots of messages like that in my own life. You just keep going, you're almost there. And it's like, yeah, but that seems illusory. Like, I've been hearing that for 10 years. Like, what does that mean? But time can be kind of an illusion, right? Where the energy is headed is an evening out and an equilibrium, and this very bull energy, this very redistribution of your energy from away from all this dark shadow work into a more balanced physical manifestation of stability for you. This might have felt unstable this morning. So let's see, I'm going to pull some other cards here. What else can be helpful to know? If you could cure any disease, what would it be and why? It's a great question to meditate on. Clear your energy at the bottom of the deck. So smudging or taking a salt bath, doing something to cleanse away the sorrow will help. Cleanse it out of your heart center. I felt it so piercing, like it felt just like, I don't even know. They keep trying to capture it, and it's like, you know, if this is your reading, you know the feeling. I don't have to keep trying to describe it. But doing something very simple like clearing your energy. I'm going to do this again here. Cleansing away with this Palo Santo is very helpful. It's so soothing, this smoke. I need more. I'm down to these little nubs here. But I so appreciate how immediately comforted I feel. Same with, you know, I mean, that can happen through lots of burnables. Sweetgrass, sage, copal, myrrh, frankincense, right? Any of those beautiful sacred smokes. Cedar, western red cedar smoke is incredibly beautiful. What are you doing, little mischief maker? So I'm going to do that again. Clear some of the sorrow away here. Let the light in. It's really, I'm just going to do this right here too, because my heart center is still hurting. And a hurting heart is an awakened heart, right? If you're not processing the sorrow of your heart, you're not awakening, right? If you're avoiding it through escapism, it's preventing an awakening that's going to come whether you like it or not eventually, right? And that can mean different things. It doesn't have to be like a journey, the soul's journey awakening. It can just be an awakening into like, what kind of life have I created for myself? Not a life I want. I'm a slave to the grind and I never thought I would be, right? Or something like that. It doesn't have to be so deep as shadow work, but hey, oh my goodness, hello. Watch out for these candles. Sacred marriage, alchemy. You're already doing that. You're already doing your inner shadow work. Keep going is what it's saying, which I know can be a little fatiguing to hear, but keep doing it, using smoke, using tools that you have to help you so you're not feeling like you're doing it alone. Find and be with your loyal and devoted community of support. So you have people that do love you, even if it's in the animal kingdom and not necessarily people, although we are animals, right? It can be reaching across the void, just like this. Like, reach across the void. You're not alone. We're on this journey together. Even if we're scattered to the winds or scattered across the globe, there are other seekers like you. And it can help to reach across the void and touch them for a minute. Like, I know, I see, I feel it too, right? That can be helpful. Know your mind and know your intent. So be careful what you wish for is kind of what I'm grasping here. Because of this Devil and Seven of Swords energy, there is a vulnerability that you'll be so sick of the loneliness that you'll just beg for it to be alleviated. And then guess what? It's like a trickster that comes and alleviates the sorrow for you, which is not ideal if you want something solid and stable and secure. So if you're crying out like, I'm tired of being alone, send me someone, send me someone, send me someone, you might get sent somebody that's not good for you and you have to go through another lesson, right? Like, so be careful, know what you're asking for. It might be that instead of saying alleviate the sorrow and the loneliness for me, it might be help me cope with the sorrow and the loneliness right now. That's just a shift on how you might know your mind and know what you're really seeking. Because sometimes I hear this a lot, although I've had trouble believing it lately because I've been so lonely, is this the understanding that we can never be really merged with someone else, that we're always going to be alone, even in a party, right? Even in a family. Ultimately, we wake up alone, we go to bed alone, we die alone, right? So there's maybe a benefit to making your peace with that in a void state way. Like, we can reach across the void to one another, but at the end of the day, we have to make peace with that aloneness, is an example, right? Which helps me feel less lonely to think that way almost. It's a comforting thought. Like, we all have that. That's all in our human experience, is to face our aloneness. So I'm going to try ending this on a little ink blot card, which is a scrying tool. Thank you for listening and for being here. There's going to be some silence while I scry into this card, or I think I'm going to pull 2 cards. You might feel like a twin flame that just came through, and there's these 2 fires here and these 2 fire cards. And that can be a very lonely experience if you're on a journey like that, because it's not about, well, it can feel like it can be very romantic, but it's not just about finding a romantic partner. It's about facing the void within you, right? And so if you're on that kind of meditative journey, it's very challenging at times, but it's coming through and prompted me to want to pull 2 cards instead of just one. So bear with some of this quiet here and stillness while I gaze and have images emerge. So the first thing that came through here is a walrus. And there's an echo of the walrus with its skull, almost like this devil card being represented here with the skull of the hare instead of the hare's flesh and blood face. Like the shadow aspect of self, right? The skeleton within us is coming through that holds us up, that we don't often think about because it's unseen except for our teeth, right? It's a skull. I see the holes of the nose here of a skull. And a few Obsidian mirror sessions back, I saw like a really beautiful, some kind of a grandfather spirit that was a flying. I realized after the fact that I used the wrong terminology, because flying ancient birds are not considered dinosaurs. They're some other family, like a pterodactyl or something, but it was just beautiful. It was showing me like the ancientness of the planet, and it was like a grandfather spirit. It was really beautiful, and there's some quality to that here about us really being part of this cosmic web, right? Of this way bigger cosmic web than just our solo experience here, having this human experience. And here it's being shown as a walrus, like a creature of the sea, with horns in an interesting way, like this devil card. I'm also seeing a pelvis here, a woman's pelvis. So it might be helpful to, if you're a Queen of Wands, it might be helpful to invite some fire, sun, solar energy into your sacral chakra and into your root chakra to help you feel grounded again. These 2 eyes here are deep pools, like you're seeing almost more than you want to see is coming through. Like the depth of your sight right now is almost like no. Like I had been wanting to have dream experiences that would be like dreams to maybe come through for other people that might see it on this channel. And the first dreams that showed up finally that were like that were really difficult, like nightmares. And I thought, boy, I almost saw into the dream space more than I wanted to as a person that's got to keep going and coping with day-to-day life, right? It's okay. I mean, I transcended that initial fear or anxiety about being given a gift like that. But come on, I don't want you on my head. But with those eyes, those deep pool eyes, almost like 2 obsidian mirrors, there's some antenna as well. So part of this experience is that you might be assimilating or adjusting to some gifts, some new gifts that you have, that you're tapping into, maybe that you've always had, but that right now you're tapping into for the first time. Something to do with being able to hear on a different plane, or hear on a see in a different way, in a different etheric plane, for example. And then there's these flowers here that look almost like poppies, which is sight in some ways, like poppies, opium, right? The original it's soothing for your system, but it's also tapping into an alternate reality. And to me, this is like what I'm seeing here are, I kept doing this gesture of reaching out across the void. And that's what this card is doing. It's like reaching out to us. It's a very reaching image with the way that the ink has shown up here in this blot. And there's two minds here, two faces. They're facing in the opposite direction, but they're intimately linked here. So again, that feeling of twin flames might be real for you. Although this is not a fire card. This is a very cool, physical, upper chakras, right? Like purple, green, blue. There's some harmonization taking place here. With these obsidian mirrors again, there's something happening where you're reflecting or mirroring one another. Mirroring is coming through. Even though it seems like you're turned away from one another, that might be where part of the loneliness is coming from. There's a mirroring happening here and a reaching across the void, which is really beautiful and soothing. These colors are very soothing, even though they're, I don't know, not very fire-based, and you've been kind of seeking this fire of creation. There's something deeper happening, maybe in your upper chakras, that you're mirroring, you and this other person, this kindred soul. There's really a reaching for one another, even though you're facing another way. There's a reaching for one another, just like we're reaching across the void to each other here by connecting it through this reading and through these words and through this understanding that comes through language. That's really coming through. What you're seeking is seeking you. That's what just came through. That which you seek is also seeking you. That is very comforting. You're working together. You may not see that. You woke up feeling that piercing void of loneliness. Well, the void is also healing you and clearing away what is preventing a union, for example, either with self, through your sacred alchemy of inner alchemy work, or through connecting, because the connection is coming with this Three of Wands. It's a very collaborative relation that's brewing here, that's being made manifest through this deep work that you've been doing. Really beautiful. And this bloodstone seems connected to this card in some way. I don't know why, but look up the meaning of bloodstone. Bloodstone might be a card, or a stone that can help you right now in some way. It's my understanding that you need to kind of be careful with it. Like if you're trying to strengthen your third eye ability and you get a bloodstone, because it's a strengthening, empowering, it empowers your intentions. You have to know your mind. You don't want to empower the wrong thing within you. And so like if you feeling rage, for example, you don't want that to increase, don't carry a bloodstone, or it's going to amplify your rage, right? It's an amplifying stone. But for some reason it's coming through here related to this reaching across the void. So maybe a feeling of more, having this, if that's what you're seeking, is to make connections with the right relations that are going to move you forward, a bloodstone might be a good blood relations, right? Like blood, physical, human form, Six of Pentacles type connection and balancing and stabilization. So I think that's it. I keep wanting to draw more cards, but it feels to me like that's a natural ending, and I just want to keep going because it feels good to connect here. I am going to pull this card because it's feeling like it's not wrong to do that. Like it's not me pushing too hard. This is an old deck. It's a French astrological deck. And sometimes I'm not a huge fan of it because a lot of the feminine symbols in this astrological deck are written about in kind of disparaging ways. So are the masculine cards, but you know, sexism is a thing. It's real under patriarchy, and the creator of this deck is a man, and he may not have had the greatest perception of women, right? When he made this deck. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have sometimes when I read the feminine cards. But I love the artwork, and I do love the knowledge that comes through them. Ah. At the cut north and south node, so very in keeping with this, right? The north and south node, if you don't know a lot about astrology, look at that, because it's very helpful to do node work within yourself as an echo of these ideas of transmutation and meeting your shadow and honoring your shadow as well. Gemini. Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. And we talked about twins here. Well, here are the twins. This is a very joyful and positive card, if I remember right. So that's a nice tone to end it on after some kind of somber messaging. Okay. This represents two pretty little cherubim harmoniously united in their charming duality. They are smilingly planning to do subtle and refined things, holding the shaft of sly irony and the vibrating lyre of the arts, while yet retaining the rod of intellectual and sacred science. Gemini is masculine, warm, moist, neither cardinal nor fixed, convertible, fruitful, diurnal, of the airy element. It represents subtle intellect, refined taste, the arts, love of music, success in business pursuits. It also gives harmonious relationship between brothers and sisters, which it represents. This card governs the shoulders and often causes nervous diseases or bilious disorders. So that's a great capturing of this entire reading. I'm glad I pulled that card. I almost didn't. It's a really lovely outcome here. And so it's almost like it's saying it's okay to be where you are. I know it didn't feel like it maybe when you first woke up, but it really is. Your journey is the right journey for your soul in this time, in this space, across the void. So thank you, and I hope it's of some comfort. It's been of comfort to me to reach across the void to other like-minded people that might catch this. And I'll see you in the next one.